Hey, what's up guys, Will here for GSM Arena. We're trying something a little different today because of everything that's going on outside right now. So, welcome to my home, and I hope everybody watching is doing okay. The P40 series is shaping up to include some of the best flagships out there right now. But if you can't afford a flagship, then on the next tier down is the mid-range P40 Lite. Is it as competitive as the more expensive models? Let's find out in our full review. To avoid any confusion, the P40 Lite is also called the Huawei Nova 6 SE or the Huawei Nova 7i in some markets, and this review probably applies to all three devices. The phone is a step down from its P40 flagship cousins, but it still brings some nice features, including a slick-looking design. It looks like it's made of glass and metal, but it's actually built from plastic, which you can feel if you pick the device up. Regardless, it's actually pretty light and comfortable in the hand. The P40 Lite seems well built and sturdy, but unlike its flagship cousins, it doesn't have water resistance. Though it has cut costs with its build materials, the P40 Lite hasn't sacrificed anything looks-wise. I really like the curved back panel with its pastel colors. Reminds me of springtime. The symmetrical square camera bump is nice to look at too. The P40 Lite's screen is a 6.4-inch IPS LCD with a 1080p resolution. The refresh rate is the standard 60Hz. You'll notice the rather large punch hole cutout up at the top for the selfie cam. I'm not a fan of this cutout. You can see some backlight bleed near the top of it. It's only really annoying if you have something bright or vivid on the screen though. This display's performance is okay, but far from the best LCD we've seen. Colors are punchy in the default vivid mode, and you can make them quite accurate in settings. Contrast is decent, but not too impressive. And max brightness is just average, at 460 nits, and up to 515 nits in auto mode when in bright conditions. We are glad that unlike other recent Huawei phones, this one supports Widevine L3. This means that you can run Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and other streaming services, but in contrast to Widevine L1, the streaming is not in HD quality. For your audio, the Huawei P40 Lite has a single bottom-firing loudspeaker. Its performance is decent. It scored a good loudness score in our tests, and it handles mids and highs pretty well. Low frequencies are lacking though. If you want to plug in headphones, the P40 Lite does have a 3.5mm jack, and there are even some headphones included in the box. You get 128 gigs of storage on board, and it is expandable. However, you need to use one of Huawei's proprietary nano memory cards to do this. Unlocking the P40 Lite is quite easy with the side-mounted fingerprint reader. It's super fast and accurate to recognize your touch. Now let's move on to the P40 Lite software. You may have heard this 100 times by now, but US companies are not allowed to do business with Huawei, so that leaves it without access to Google services. Instead, the P40 Lite relies on Huawei's mobile services and apps, some of which are still in development. You can download apps through Huawei's app gallery. At the moment, the catalog isn't very large, but it's growing all the time. As an alternative, you can download apps through another third-party app store, such as Amazon's or APK Pure, or transfer them from another phone with Phone Clone. These workarounds are doable, but you may miss out on software updates, and some apps just won't work if they're dependent on GMS. Overall, it's a hassle. We'll leave a link in the description below about our real-life experience with it. Otherwise, the P40 Lite's interface is pretty straightforward. It's Huawei's EMUI 10 based on Android 10. Instead of Google Feed here, you have a space called Today for shortcuts, contacts, and a newsfeed provided by Huawei. Looks-wise, the interface isn't so far off from stock Android, and everything runs quickly and smoothly. Part of the reason behind this phone's snappiness is its new Kirin 810 chipset. It's Huawei's latest mid-range chip, and this thing is a beast. In CPU benchmarks, the processor easily outperforms every competitor in its class. It aces GPU tests as well, where it's only beaten by flagship-grade hardware. Thermal performance is excellent, and gaming is a pleasure on this phone, as long as the games you want to play don't require Google services in order to run. The P40 Lite's battery life is really impressive as well. With a large 4200 mAh battery, it was able to score an awesome endurance rating of 121 hours in our proprietary battery tests. And when you do need to charge up, it's super fast, since the P40 Lite comes with a 40-watt Huawei supercharger in the box. With it, we were able to charge from 0 to 70% in just half an hour. Now let's move on to the cameras. There's a 48 megapixel quad Bayer main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide cam, a 2 megapixel dedicated macro cam, and a depth sensor. There's no telephoto unlike on the flagship models. Daylight shots from the main cam look quite good. They come out in 12 megapixels and they're sharp and detailed, with accurate colors and great dynamic range. However, we weren't as impressed with areas of complex detail, which don't look as nice, maybe due to the noise reduction. You can shoot in the full 48 megapixels in what is called AI Ultra Clarity mode. These have great quality with excellent detail. Just note that each photo takes 5 or 6 seconds to shoot. The P40 Lite has a toggle for 2 times magnification, but since there's no telephoto, this is just digital zoom. Still, the quality is really good, almost as good as a real native zoom. Portraits are taken with the help of the depth sensor. These look very good, with competent separation and a nice defocused background. 8 megapixel photos from the ultra-wide camera are okay, but nothing special. They have good detail, but colors appear a bit washed out, and dynamic range is rather low. The 2 megapixel close-up images from the macro camera are really nice, with enough detail and punchy colors. But since there's no autofocus, getting your miniature subjects in focus may take some trial and error. In low light, photos from the main cam have very good detail and color saturation, balanced exposure, and the noise reduction isn't too harsh. Overall, we like these results. If you switch over to night mode, the overall exposure is improved, and some detail is restored in the background and sky. But the images are softer and take on sort of an oil painting look. Still, these are decent for a mid-ranger. You can use the P40 Lite's ultra-wide camera at nighttime, but the photos come out smudgy, noisy, and lacking in detail. Selfies are taken with the P40 Lite's 16 megapixel front-facing camera. They look quite good, with accurate colors and nice contrast. Detail is a little lacking though, and we would have liked to see autofocus here. But one neat feature is night mode for the selfie camera. It does a good job in brightening up a dark scene, and it takes less than a second to shoot. Videos can be recorded in only up to 1080p at 30 FPS with the main and ultra-wide cameras. Both cameras deliver nice contrast, low noise, punchy colors, and good dynamic range. Detail leaves more to be desired though, and there is no electronic stabilization available. So that's the Huawei P40 Lite. For around 300 euros, you get a great looking design, a large LCD screen, killer performance for a mid-ranger, awesome battery life and fast charging, and a versatile set of cameras. As far as downsides go, the cameras do fall short in a few areas, especially video recording. And then there's the whole issue with Google services, which can make using this phone a lot more complicated if you're used to the Google ecosystem. Overall, the P40 Lite is a solid mid-range phone that's worth recommending if you're tech-savvy enough to get past the lack of GMS. But keep an eye on Huawei. As time goes by and its app catalog expands, its phones could become a great mainstream alternative to the Google ones we're used to. Thanks for watching guys, stay safe and see you on the next one.